It's Nicola here with an update on our emergency appeal for people fleeing Myanmar. And this afternoon I'm delighted to be joined via Skype with Anthony from Tear Fund, who is in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh right now. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
So tell us, what's the situation like there on the border today? I know that you've got a newspaper from today. What is the Bangladeshi media reporting on the situation on the border?
Yeah, so I have the Daily Star here, the Bangladesh newspaper, and you'll see here it says that 6,300 people were queuing on the border today to get into Bangladesh from Myanmar. And we are seeing numbers like that most days now. So these people are having to queue up, and because they're using the same routes, and the sheer numbers arriving is so large that the Bangladesh army and the forces here are moving further and further back towards the border so they can start organising, registering these people as soon as possible.
And Anthony, you've been out in those locations today, and I know that you've got some pictures that you took to share with us. So we have some pictures here on the screen showing the conditions. Do you want to talk about the conditions and the shelters that have been built that we can see on the screen here?
Yeah, well, as you can see in the middle of the screen, that's what the general paths are like. And it's important to mention that it is still monsoon season here in Bangladesh. So throughout the day, there are frequent, very heavy rain showers. And that is causing these tiny pathways to just be mud baths. So it's very hard to get around. A lot of the children don't have any shoes, so they are walking around barefoot at the moment. One of the things that Tear Fund is doing is we are giving out deworming pills to the children to try and prevent the spread of disease, which is easily happening with no shoes and these muddy conditions. The shelters that you can see there have been built with tarpaulin and bamboo that has been brought in, but they are not ideal, and they will not last if there is a very heavy rain shower. So we need to try and get some better shelter into these people, and that's what we're trying to do through the DEC funds. As you also saw in that picture, you can see that the roads are very, very narrow. So it's very, very crowded, and a lot of people living in each of these makeshift houses, and the sandbags there to try and keep the water out when the rain does come. But it is very muddy, it's very dirty, but people are trying their best. I think you can see down the end there someone trying to wash themselves, and one of the water pumps has been installed.
Yes, I mean, that's one of the things we've heard a lot, as Anthony was saying, about how muddy it is, and it's very interesting to hear that you're giving out deworming tablets to children who have to run around in that mud, but also the amazing, ability of people to build those makeshift shelters. And I know that people are, the refugees themselves are cutting down bamboo sticks to make the shelters, and our aid agencies like Tear Fund have been helping provide the tarpaulin with the generous donations of the British public. But again, the conditions are truly awful. I believe it's really hot and muggy there.
It's very, very hot and very muggy, and everyone you speak to, you can literally see the sweat dripping down off their face. Their clothes are sticking to them because they are so wet from sweat. And you can imagine those sorts of conditions with no respite for these people. I mean, I can come back to an air-conditioned room at night, and I'm still feeling ill by the time I arrive back because of the heat and the dehydration. There's nothing for these people. They have these makeshift tents that they're having to live in with very little protection from the heat, some protection from the sun, which is something. But it is so hot and the humidity is so bad. And as you can see in that picture there, that's one of the queues for the food that is being given out, the food parcels, which is things like potatoes, dal, onions, lentils, some cooking oils, cooking utensils is being given out there. That's from DEC agencies that we're giving this out. But people in that queue, there isn't enough food to go around. But as I mentioned, we're seeing 6,000 people coming. So there is just so many people that you have to wait 4 hours in this blizzard heat and the humidity just to get a ticket for food, and then wait a further 4 hours to actually get your food. So as you'll see there's a lot of women sitting in that queue. And an interesting thing I noticed today is that some women are having to send very young children, girls only as old as 8 or 9, on their own to get this food, because the mother has to stay at home with the baby because it would just be too hot in the sun for them to sit for this length of time.
So as Anthony said there, people are queuing for food. You could see that there is enough food and people are able to get it, but women are queuing for up to 4 hours to get the ticket to get the food, and then have to wait another 4 hours to get the food itself, sometimes having to send their children to sit in the queue. But as you see, it's organised but very slow. So Anthony has some other questions for Anthony. What is DEC member Tier Fund also doing with DEC funds?
Well, today I visited the camps to see what some of the work that we are doing, and Tier Funds has set up some medical camps in these areas, and we are seeing a lot of pregnant women, a lot of breastfeeding women, and a lot of young children coming into these camps. I know that DEC estimates around 123,000 pregnant and breastfeeding women and children under 5 are in these camps at the moment, requiring targeted food assistance. So what we're able to provide for the women is these little sachets, which are rehydration sachets. Some of the people we are meeting are 7 days, others, can you imagine, days, and then arriving at a camp? These people are so dehydrated, and this little sachet can help them just to feel a little bit better. Some of the other conditions we're seeing is people coming to us they have aches and pains. They've been walking for many days just to get here, and all they would like is a couple of paracetamol so they can have a decent sleep and a break from the pain. So we're giving out paracetamol as well. We're also giving out these diarrhea tablets. We're starting to see diarrhea is getting particularly bad in some of these camps. These tablets will help solve that within, half an hour. So these are really, really good. So we're giving these out. We're also giving out vitamins to a lot of the mothers that we meet. One mother that I met, Belhanula, she was 9 months pregnant as well, 20 years old. She arrived to see the doctor in a Kutupalong camp. She was very weak when I spoke to her. She was holding on to her husband as she waited in the queue to see her doctor. When she got to the front, the doctor said he just didn't have enough medication to give her what she needed. Now, to put that in context, we had tubs of vitamins this size, massive tubs of vitamins, hundreds if not thousands of pills, and that just wasn't going to be enough for this mother, because we also had other pregnant ladies in the queue as well. So it became a case of having to tell her that she could have so many, but she had to come back to her medical camp the next day, and the day after, and the day after that, and she had to keep coming back to get more of these multivitamins.
Okay.
Another
so Anthony, just you cut up a few times there, so I was just going to recap for people. So Tier Fund has been giving out dehydration sachets, as well as paracetamol for people suffering pain, diarrhea medication because people are arriving with diarrhea, and then vitamin pills and things especially for pregnant women because they've had so little food over the last few days. So Anthony, I thought, is there anybody that you've met since you've been there that has really struck you? I know everyone has a tragic story and has witnessed some terrible things, but has there been a story that stood out for you in particular?
Yes, yesterday when we left the hut of one of the displaced people in the Balakahali camp, we walked outside and we were approached by a woman, Dilder, and she stood in front of us and she was waving something around in her hand, and she said to me, "This is a bullet from my son's leg." And beside her was a boy on crutches. He was visibly in pain, 13-year-old Mohammed, just 13 years old. And his mum explained to me how he was standing in the doorway of their home in Myanmar to protect them from armed men. Dilder said to me he was shot. He could not move. She was very traumatized by what had obviously happened to them. She said, "We fled into the jungle where we had to then take a blade." So this is his own mother. Had to take a blade and cut the bullet out of her son's leg. What then happened is Dilder and 6 other people had to travel on foot for 15
Okay, and Anthony, you're cutting up there. So I know some of the stories. So
the Bangladeshi border.
So, Anthony, we're having some troubles with Skype there. So Anthony was telling the story of young Mohammed, only 13 years old, who was shot in the leg and whose mother had to but pull the bullet out of him herself, and you saw the bullet on the screen later. So she pulled it out of his skin, and he was carried for 15 days across the country on 2 chairs by villagers to get to Bangladesh. I mean, he has got medical help now, as you can see, but he may well not recover from the injuries that he sustained fully. So terrible, terrible stories, and that many people that have fled Myanmar have told, but it's one story in particular that Anthony experienced. We seem to have lost Anthony now. I shall try one more time to see if he's still there, but regardless, thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us, and thank you everybody else for listening. As always, the British public has been so very generous, and please do continue to donate. As you can see from what Anthony has been telling us, the needs are great. Everything from rehydration salts to diarrhea medication to worming tablets to plain old paracetamol, as well as medical treatment for injuries that people have sustained when fleeing from Myanmar. So the needs are great. So please do keep on giving, and the government is still matching your donation pound for pound. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much.